Hi everyone, this is Terry. Today we're going to talk about how we can digitize Magic 8 half square triangles. I bet you didn't think about using your embroidery machine to create some of your piece blocks for your quilt. Recently I was in a class for Kimberbell, and this class is going to be using the digitized designs for Kimberbell, but we have to make half square triangles. Now I'm a quilter and I know how to make these, but one of the things that's really nice is to use what's called the Magic 8 formula. And with this you can create 8 half square triangles at a time. Now the way the formula works is if you have a 3-inch finished block, and by that I mean your half square triangle is 3 inches, what you need to do is add 7/8 of an inch to it. So you take 3 plus 7/8, so that gives you 3 7/8. You multiply that by 2, and that comes up to 7 3/4 of an inch. Now typically when I'm making half square triangles, I make mine a little bit larger, like 8 inches, and I trim them down to size. So what I want to do is show you the half square triangle block that I digitized. So let's open it up. And what you'll see is it's very, very simple. And let's watch it stitch out. What we have is we have a square. In this case, this square is 7.75 inch. I digitized it to the right size, but I'm going to show you how to digitize it larger, and then you'll just trim it and make sure that it is the right size when you trim it. So you can see here now I digitized this line. This is my placement line. What I'll do is I'll take 2 squares of fabric that in this case are 7 3/4 of an inch, place them right side together, and then I will place them inside this placement line. So I've hooked up some lightweight tearaway stabilizer. You don't want a heavyweight stabilizer for this because you need to tear away all your stabilizer. The next thing I'll do is I digitize my cutting lines. So in the Magic 8 half square triangle, what you're going to do is you're going to end up cutting on the blue lines here. And if you envision this line right here, which is the center marks for my hoop, I'm also going to cut on those lines. In fact, let me change my grid, and let's look at the grid lines. So you can see I've removed my grid lines. So what I'm going to do is I'll cut across this blue line, and then I'll also cut right through the center and cut this block in half horizontally and vertically after I've sewn it out. Let's go ahead and watch the rest of it stitch out. All right, these are my sew lines. And what's important about these is what I'll do is I'll cut the blue lines. So I'll cut across that blue line, then I'll cut through the center horizontally and vertically, and I'll have 8 half square triangles. Now let me show you how to digitize this. So let's go File, New, and we won't save it. And I'll make this slightly larger. I'll make it an 8-inch block, and I'll trim it down to size to get that perfect 3-inch. So I'll choose Shapes, and I want to choose the rectangle. I want it to be a running stitch. Let's go in and change this to millimeters, and I want it to be a long stitch length, like 3. And I'll change this to gold. So it doesn't matter what size it is because I'm going to resize it. So while it's selected and I have the white grid that you see there, I'll right click, I'll go to numerical settings, size. What you want to do is deselect maintain aspect ratio. Now what I need to do is change back to inches. And I do this every time and don't think about it. But let's go back. You need to have the little white grid. And now go down to numerical setting. And let's go down to deselect maintain aspect ratio. I'm going to make this 8 inches. So I'm making this larger than it needs to be, and I'll cut my blocks down to size. Now the next thing I want to do is click off of it. And now what I want to do is go back to shapes. I want to choose the open straight line, change my thread color to blue. Remember, the blue are cut lines in this illustration. And now I want to digitize from corner to corner. Don't worry about whether you go past it, double click. And if you see, I did not double click, so let me double click. There we go. And you need to do that to end that line. So now we'll come back across this corner. It's not perfect, and I did that purposely because what I want to do is show you how to correct it. So now what we want to do is go to Node Select, and you can see we selected these nodes. Now if you need to zoom in, you can do that, and we'll zoom in to this corner. And what you want to do is let's go back and make sure we have our tool selected. We want to select that white node there and just bring it up to this corner. Remember, these are cut lines, they're not sew lines. Let's go ahead. It will stitch out, but we're going to cut it, is what I want to say. So we'll move that. Now, some of you might be saying, well, why go to all this trouble? Well, when you have digitized this and you've tested it and made sure that you can at least get your 3-inch triangles out of this 8-inch square by cutting them to trimming them to size, then you set it up to create 8 half-square triangles at once. That's a big savings. If you happen to hear chimes, I have swallows that have decided to nest up in the corner of my porch, and my doorbell is going off constantly. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to go back and let's just choose the selection and click off of it. Now what I want to do is I want to go back to the shapes, and this time I'll select the straight line and I want it to be red. I need to change my run pitch to millimeters, and this time what I want to do is to move this down to 2.0. Run pitch is stitch length. Now what I want to do is digitize a line, and this needs to be parallel to that blue line. So we will be measuring this. Double click, and you'll do this across each side. So I'll go ahead and double click, and I'll click on this corner, come down and double click. And you can tell these are not all digitized at the right distances, but this is where you're going to adjust it. And double click. Now what we want to do is go back to inches again. Let's bring our grid back up because the grid does help us. We'll show the grid. I have 1/2-inch intervals, but because we have diagonal lines here, it's not going to help us out that much. One of the things I do want to do is go to select all, and I'll just move this to the center. So I'll go to arrange and move to center. All right. Now what I want to do is I want to take my measure right here, and if you don't have it on your quick access toolbar, you can add it. And I want to measure from that blue line up to the red line. And I need to do this at 3 different points. So you can see right there, that's 0.23 inches. Let's go right here in the center, and let's measure it here at this point. And that's 0.25. And right click to deselect it. And then let's check it out right here. Now, if you need to zoom in to do this, you can. And I'll measure that. If it's not the 1/4 inch or less, then what you need to do is you need to go into your select nodes, and you need to move that line and adjust this node So you see here how I have it. I need to move it. You can see that it kind of snaps the grid. So one thing you can do is you can change your grid to 0.25 inches. And it's not an exact 0.25. It'll be 252. So you can do that. And we can try moving it. Or you can change it to millimeters. You can see how many millimeters is in 1/4 of an inch. And that way it will help you to snap it to grid. All right, I'm not going to go through and measure all of these, but let me explain to you again. Once you get this set up, then save your file, and you notice here I have Magic 8 3-inch HST for half square triangles, because you want to save it and go test it. Always test something like this that's for quilting. You want to make sure it's the right size. Now, if you had this where it is a 3-inch, and let's say you want to do a 2.5-inch half square triangle, you could use the same file, but what you're going to have is some waste, because when you trim that block, you're going to trim away fabric. So you can either digitize it so it's the exact size or larger and just trim down. All right, so let's again talk about how we'll cut it. The first thing we'll do is we'll cut it vertically through the center. So if this was 4 inches or 8 inches across, I'd be cutting this at 4 inches. Then I would be measuring up 4 inches and cutting through the line horizontally. Then I will cut on the blue lines. So you want to cut on those blue lines. Remember, the red lines are your stitch lines. Then all you do is you iron it with your seam going towards the dark side of your fabric. I hope this video is helpful to you. If you like my videos, please like and share. I do answer questions in the PE Design 11 Facebook group. And then I also am the owner of a group called Just Stitching with the Brother Luminaire in Facebook. So consider joining us there. Thanks everyone, and have a great day.